Factory R157, announcing production target of September 1st, 2030.
Humans have frequently imagined a future where robots take over. How will robots transform our workplaces?
Production line 1, robots number 1 to 20, 500 ultrasonic wave sensors. Production line 2, robots number 21 to 50, 1000 GPS sensors.
Today marks 300 days of protest in front of R157 factory that manufactures autonomous vehicle parts. Last year, the factory placed robots in its production line, resulting in 350 human workers to lose their jobs.
Artificial intelligence, robotics, and other forms of automation have the potential to bring great economic benefits. However, there is also concern it might lead to mass computerization of jobs and eventually to widespread economic woe. In this episode, we meet the robots that have already found a home in the workplace. From the cafe and the factory, to the stock market, and to hospitals. Do we want to make machines that act merely as tools, or robots that might replace us? Meet the robot job seekers. This is Pepper, a humanoid robot whose number one quality is his ability to perceive emotions. SoftBank, a Japanese multinational conglomerate, developed Pepper and is now preparing for the era of artificial intelligence.
パラダイムシフトがあるわけですから、その時のパラダイムの最も重要なところに手を打ってきたつもりであります。ペッパーの一番異なった特徴は、これまでのロボットと異なった特徴はですね、それは感情を持っているということであります。感情 AI、感情エンジンを持っているということであります。なぜこれが必要なのかというのは、今からですね、100年後の人々はありがとうと感謝してくれると思う。
But why is empathy such an important factor when it comes to developing robots? This is a cafe where Pepper works. Since February 2016, Pepper has been greeting customers. Although Pepper is incapable of doing much of what the human staff can do, he does have one special ability. When greeting customers, Pepper shines. The customers love Pepper. Pepper costs about $500 a month to rent. It's a competitive price. This is the research center in charge of educating Pepper. Pepper is learning emotions through a card game. Whether he wins or loses, Pepper expresses the appropriate response. Pepper's emotional map shows joy.
今は、私が0、ペッパーが39ということで、ペッパーが大量に買って、今ちょっとテンションが上がってますね、ペッパーの。
A member of our film crew gives Pepper a pat on the head.
あ、今苦しい、怒ってる。
急に怒ってる俺。顔が乾いたり。
Why is Pepper angry?
怒ってますね。
怒ってるんですか。
はい。
ああ、ゲームやってる時に突然入ると。
そうですね、プレイしてるのが楽しかったのに今触られてちょっと。
Essentially, Pepper is able to express emotion because his brain is hardwired to imitate human thought processes. It uses human hormone statistics to express appropriate emotions in different situations. For instance, when he wins a card game, Pepper mimics the hormone levels a human would experience. When getting a pat on the head, the hormone levels differ based on who touches him.
AI も単に頭がいいとかいろんなことを知ってるってことではなくて、むしろ人の表情や声を読み取ってよりその人に会ってその人が気持ちよく話せるような言葉を出せるようにするとか、そういう形で全てその技術をその人間っぽくするとか、すごくこうなんでしょうね。
Not just Pepper's humanoid eyes and body, but his ability to relate to emotions will make it easier for him to integrate into the human workplace. Pepper is helping tourists. Foreign language skills and the ability to empathize are very important for a station employee.
Hey, we meet. I am always your friend.
Oh, that's nice. I have a friend in Japan. I feel like I have to keep interacting with him. Because it's like a kid. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm talking to my son. I have a little boy. My little boy would go nuts right now. Like, would go nuts. Oh, yes. Hi. Hey, oh, yeah. There we go. Now you shake my hand.
55,000円でなかなか人を一月雇えませんから、そういう意味では企業もその例えば経済効率とそれからその面白さとか新しさみたいなもの、その両方でペッパーの人気が高まっているんじゃないかなというふうに思っています。
Since the Industrial Revolution, humans have continued to work with machines to mass manufacture goods. Delicate work that was once considered only the preserve of humans has rapidly been taken over by machines. Thanks to continual upgrade of technology, robots are now replacing human workers at an alarming rate. It is past midnight. A solitary robot is working alone. This is Baxter, an AI robot. It works as an employee at a plastic manufacturing company. Baxter has an aptitude for packaging goods. But it can also move and assemble parts, as well as manage machines. Most importantly, Baxter never gets tired.
24 hours a day, 5 days a week. It never stops unless there's a stoppage with the cell. Baxter is extremely reliable. I think the oldest one that we have now has 15,000 hours on it of constant operation.
Baxter is being trained to go into the new production line. Baxter is capable of learning just by having his arm moved. This is all thanks to artificial intelligence. Baxter's greatest strength is that he can be retrained and used for any other jobs.
Baxter is pretty much, you do that movement, so you do what Baxter has to do. So, you know, there is no typing. You don't have a keyboard, you have to type things in. Pretty much move Baxter's hand as you want him to do the specific task that you're going to be doing.
Baxter is completing quality checks. He has caught every single faulty product. Between 2000 and 2010, 5.6 million jobs disappeared worldwide. 85% of these saw human workers being replaced by machines. According to experts, the rise of robots could lead to unemployment rates greater than 50% within 30 years.
A company of our size, if it was located in China, would have 100 people based on the revenues and the number of parts that we produce. We have 42. So the only way that we can do that is with automation, with robots that are mounted to machines and robots like Baxter and robots that will be the future after Baxter becomes obsolete.
In 2016, the world was shocked to see the computer program AlphaGo defeat a human in the high-intelligence game Go. The seemingly impossible had happened.
In previous waves of automation, it's actually been low-skilled and middle-skilled workers who have been most affected by technology. But actually in this wave, because of advances in machine learning, because of advances in deep learning and the sophisticated algorithms that we're now dealing with today, actually it's high-skilled workers who will be equally affected. So lawyers, for example, and doctors who've had to train for years and years.
How well would AI work in the world of stocks and shares, where a high level of intellectual labor is required? Artificial intelligence in the stock market studies big data, finds the best investment opportunity, and manages it. This is the world of the robo-advisor.
Robo-advising has been one of these implementation of AI into finance. AI is gonna revolutionize finance, and I think it already did to some extent with trading of securities, trading of assets, and this is where clearly machine learning, artificial intelligence have made a big stamp.
사실 투자라는 그런 이 분야에서는 이제 감정적인 그런 개입이 굉장히 많이 들어가기 때문에 그 사람들이 잘 못하는 영역 중에 하나거든요. 그래서 기계가 오히려 감정이나 주관적인 판단 이런 것들을 많이 배제를 하고 최대한 객관적으로 훨씬 더 효율적으로 잘 할 수 있는 분야인 것 같습니다.
We decided to put artificial intelligence to the test by putting a stock expert up against robo-advisor.
정말 보잘것없는 회사, 그리고 지금은 적자 회사지만 그런 것들이 정말 날개를 펴고가는 그런 회사들이 있거든요. 근데 정성적인 부분이기 때문에 로봇 어드바이저는 그런 부분을 캐치해낼 수가 없는 거거든요. 그러니까 인간의 상상력이죠, 그건.
For the next 5 weeks, they will compete using approximately $100,000 in virtual money in their virtual stock market. Robo-advisor analyzes over 30 different data sets, including financial data and news articles from the past 15 years, and selects 20 stocks within 30 seconds.
실제 포트폴리오 이론상으로는 10종목은 그래도 넘어야 위험이 많이 감소를 하기 시작하고 20종목이 넘어가면 그 위험이 감소되는 것보다는 기대 수익률이 너무 빨리 떨어집니다. 그래서 대략 10종목에서 20종목 사이가 굉장히 위험 대비 수익률이 좀 극대화될 수 있는.
Meanwhile, the expert is selecting stocks based on company visits and performance report conventions. There is a reason why he does the legwork.
최근 중국 패키지 관광 감소에 따른 관련주들이 좀 약간 우려가 있는데 이 부분 좀 어떻게 될지 좀 듣고 싶습니다.
목표 수량을 한 다음에
He can directly confirm any questions he has, and this is information he can only get from being in the field.
현장에 와서 이렇게 얘기를 들어보면 좀 약간 분위기라는 게 좀 느껴져요. 말씀하시는 분들의 어떤 그런 뉘앙스 같은 거를 통해서 이 기업은 향후에 뭐 투자할 만한 가치가 있다. 아니면은 좀 더 이제 지켜봐야지 이런 거를 감을 잡는다고 할까요?
The stock specialist is looking for investment opportunities in high-growth stocks that cannot be shown in data form.
그 어드바이저는 물리적인 한계가 없기 때문에 정량적으로 다 계산을 해가지고 가장 저평가되고 성장 가능성 있는 것들 찾는 거죠. 그 전략으로 간다고 하면은 이길 수는 없어요. 왜냐하면 그 계산을 따라갈 수 없기 때문에. 그와 반해서 좀 더 실적이 성장성이 예상치보다 더 좋아질 수 있는 회사라든지 이런 것들 위주로 한번 포트를 좀 꾸려볼까 합니다.
The expert selects 5 growth stocks over 4 days. The human is ahead, with an initial profit margin of 2%. Artificial intelligence works without sleep, but the expert can't sleep much either. As soon as he wakes up, he checks the international stock market. Global trends have a direct effect on the domestic stock market. He needs to get to work by 7 a.m. to gather extensive data before the stock market opens. From the main stocks he invested in, one tanked more than 10%. The morning news is a big cause for concern. This particular stock was bought in chunks in the competition with the robo-advisor. Due to this, the overall profit rate plummeted 5.79%. The situation is not looking good for robo-advisor either. The profit rate has fallen by 5%. In cases like this, how does robo-advisor react?
사실 저희가 브렉시트 때도 경험한 건데 공포감과 그다음에 이제 특히 시장의 하락이라는 그 현상이 나타났었는데 딱 하루에 그치고 말았거든요. 여러 시나리오나 그때 상황이나 이런 데이터들 가지고 다 테스트를 하고 어떤 것이 적절한 대응인가에 대해서 그것들이 이제 다 알고리즘으로 이제 들어가 있기 때문에
Robo-advisor autonomously manages risk. If the level of risk exceeds the set amount, it adjusts the stocks or increases the amount of cash. There's no human involvement in the process at all. It judged the situation to be non-risk and didn't make any changes. Just as robo-advisor predicted, the next day stock prices rallied. In the meantime, the stock specialist is pushing through the situation using his years of experience and natural instincts.
처음에 이제 메이트가 한 2주 전에 급락했을 때도 이제 이걸 더 사야 되는지 팔아야 되는지를 고민하는 그런 구간이 분명히 있었는데 저는 이제 지난주 같은 경우에 좀 더 이제는 매수를 해가지고 그 산 만큼은 이번에 올랐을 때 좀 팔았거든요. 근데 그런 판단이 되기 때문에 멘탈 관리라기보다도 좀 장에 집중해 있으면 그런 것들이 좀 자연스럽게 매매 같은 것들이 그냥 몸이 반응하는 그런 때도 종종 있어요.
During the competition, the Korean stock market recorded minus profit. Meanwhile, robo-advisor traded in 6 out of 20 stocks. This was the result of having analyzed performance and stock price in relation to company value.
불확실성이 적은 종목에 더 많은 그런 이제 비중이 할당되도록 하는 알고리즘이 상시로 작용을 하고 있거든요. 리밸런싱 할 때마다 그런 부분들이 또 다시 측정되고 다시 적용되고 이런 과정을 반복하면서
Now, who has won the battle between the robo-advisor and the expert? In the case of the human specialist, the record is slightly better than the average of the whole market performance, minus 2.2%. On the other hand, the robo-advisor made a profit and beat the human expert. According to a recent report, algorithmic trading systems now handle 75% of global trades worldwide. And the figure is growing steadily.
Their way of working would be affected by artificial intelligence because AI can have very big data or big knowledge behind. So that is more than single medical doctor or financial advisor or legal specialist. It's a different scale. of data and knowledge behind. So in a sense, their performance will be superseded by artificial intelligence system.
Where machine learning is actually very good at, or where AI is very good at, is actually trying to build a sort of set of nonlinear interactions between various pieces of information that we have. I mean, it has made everything to be actually very fast, and we are used to making many more kind of decisions in a very condensed time than we were before.
For the first time in Korea, AI has started treating real patients. It's a cognitive computing system called Watson Oncology, which specializes in cancer diagnosis and treatment. Watson has read 200 medical textbooks, 290 medical journals, and 12 million pages of professional data. Watson has also studied the clinical data of patients and is working towards being a specialist in at least 12 different cancer types.
For a doctor to read everything that's published every single week in their field of specialty would require that they read for about 160 hours a week. Now, there's only 168 hours in the week, so it doesn't leave very much time to do anything else. So clearly, doctors are not able to keep up with all the information, all the literature that's being published that is important to them being able to make better decisions. So by having the cognitive system read that literature for them, find the evidence that would suggest why one particular treatment may be more appropriate than another for a given patient, then allows the doctor to do a better job at selecting the right treatment for each individual patient and their particular problem.
왓슨도 하나의 엑셀런트한 의사고.
아니 의사는 아니고요, 레퍼런스.
These practitioners are a little flustered by the appearance of Watson.
의견이 다른 경우에 왓슨과 이제 결론이 좀 다르게 해야 하는 경우에.
From the doctor's perspective, allowing for Watson's evaluation is unsettling.
왓슨이 얘기한 게 도저히 acceptable하지 않는 기준이라면 그거는
They find their own abilities being measured against that of a robot.
의사를 인공지능이 대체를 한다는 생각에 대해서 거부감을 갖는 의사들도 꽤 있거든요. 그래서 상당히 많은 그 디베이트를 하고 그 반대도 있었습니다. 그런데 사실 인공지능의 도입이라는 것은 어떻게 보면 하나의 큰 흐름이고 우리 전 세계적인 어떤 트렌드라서 그래서 우리가 피한다고 될 일이 아니고.
The clinician will have to be the one who makes the decision about how to treat this patient. But I always say this, would you rather the best clinician in the world be treating you with the knowledge that they can recall in their head at that moment? Or would you rather that same clinician with the knowledge in their head, but also a distillation of all other knowledge available at their fingertips in order to help them make the best decision? That's really where AI, I think, is going to really help. Identifying links and opportunities and possibilities that maybe were not so easily findable or identifiable by the clinician, simply because they're human.
The hospital provides treatment for cancer patients through a unified team of oncologists. Today, Watson joins the team. Having undergone colorectal cancer surgery, this patient requires yet more treatment as the cancer has spread.
이 환자는 골반 벽 쪽으로 간 좀 드문 케이스입니다. 그러니까 어떤 레퍼런스가 많지는 않은 케이스예요. 의료진이 갖고 있던 어떤 그런 지식과 생각을 이제 종합을 해서 나와서 우리 액티브 케모로 하자, 강한 항암제로 나가자. 아직 표적 치료제는 아니다라고 결론을 내렸는데.
What does Watson think? We inputted all the data to find out Watson's opinion. After entering all the patient's information, we ask Watson for a recommendation. And Watson makes the same recommendation as the doctors, based on grading the number of appropriate treatment methods. Professor Beck has finished the first treatment using Watson.
우리가 이제 왓슨 폼클로즈는 의사는 아니라고 저희는 말씀을 드릴 수 있고 우리한테 어드바이저, 아주 강력한 어드바이저라고 일단 생각을 하시면 좋을 것 같아요.
However, Watson now provides an accuracy rate 4 times higher than humans when it comes to cancer diagnosis. It's only a matter of time before he becomes a real rival for the human doctors.
Remember, Watson is trained just like a doctor today. So our first goal is to make the best decision for that patient based on the available information. And that's what Watson's trained to do today.
I think there are 2 main areas where we're going to see this ultimate benefit. Number one, I think there is actually a socioeconomic component. I think when we build our systems to utilize AI in the places where it's appropriate to utilize them, we would have the ability to deliver better care, cheaper care to more people. Number 2, it is this individualizing, where we adapt their therapy and their overall care to them at that time, in that place, with the exact therapies and overall care system tailored to them as they go through their journey in cancer therapy, for example.
However, we should remember Watson's expertise. He takes on board millions of data points from tens of thousands of patients. How can we make sure this data is stored safely and used to their benefit?
There is a view that gathering this data and using it for public good is sufficient, and that it's clear that if everybody gives the data, you've got a fuller data set, and that's much more meaningful and more useful than if people have the right to opt out. So that, to some extent, is being used as the argument to stop people having full control of their data. And while, it might not seem that it's that personal one set of data, what we know is that 2, 3 data sets can very easily be merged together, and individuals identified from that, and really, really seriously personal information gathered. We need to look at privacy and data ownership in that context, and I don't think we've got the balance quite right yet.
I think if the regulator focuses on ensuring that safeguards are put in place where there is freedom to use the data for research and for the public good, but then very tough regulation around any misuse of it, I think that would massively empower researchers, and it is exactly what the patients want.
Although there are still concerns about the use of AI in healthcare, the way we are diagnosed and treated will undoubtedly be affected by this emerging technology. Perhaps this is a future doctor.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day today. Daily healthcare. This is the analysis of your sleep last night. All 24 basic analyses were done, and no abnormalities have been found. You did, however, change positions 17 times, which is higher than your 6-month average. You need melatonin to enhance your sleep.
In the next 20, 30 years, very few patients will actually need to go to a clinic or a hospital. What I dream of seeing is more and more of this sort of self-management where we're using devices and the ability to communicate with the experts anytime from the comfort of our own home.
While you brush your teeth, I will start a full body checkup. Your lung scan shows a change from yesterday's image. I will now compare and analyze 530,000 pieces of medical data. The pulmonary nodule is 70% likely to develop into malignancy within a year. I recommend nano treatment. The pulmonary nodule has been successfully removed. Today's data has all been uploaded.
If robo-home healthcare feels a little far from home, meet the transport technology that's speeding towards reality. The era of self-driving cars is approaching. Some believe the biggest advantage of the switch to autonomous cars is the drop in accident rates. One of the top causes of car accidents is distracted drivers. Self-driving cars can also exchange information to prevent traffic congestion and save time on things like parking too.
We're developing software for autonomous vehicles that answers 3 fundamental questions. Where am I? What's around me? And what should I do? How does it do that? Well, the car has around it cameras and lasers and radars and has a computer in the boot. And those sensors feed data into the computer that allow it to compare images or radar data, laser data to a map that it's built before. And so, given a memory of the world, the vehicles and the sensor data in the computer, the vehicle's able to say, well, I know where I am in the world.
After the car recognizes its location, all we have to do is to tell it where to go. Then the car confirms the fastest route to the location and drives on its own, following the rules of the road.
Those same sensors can also be used to stare out at the world and figure that there's stuff in the way or stuff near it. So that could be a person and they're walking across the road, or it's a bike that's traveling in the same direction, or it's a car coming at you. And so we'd call that semantics. You have some meaning of what those obstacles and threats and things around the car are.
실제적으로 위험성이 있는 물체인지 없는 물체인지를 판단하는 기술에 사람보다는 기계가 훨씬 빠른 판단과 정확한 판단을 할 수 있다고 생각이 됩니다.
The autonomous car takes note of any potential obstacles. Here, it detects something in front. It judges it to be another vehicle and continues to drive, maintaining a safe distance. Now a pedestrian appears and it stops immediately. A key ability is thinking in advance, knowing when to change speed as it approaches an intersection. In order to change lanes, the car predicts the pathways of nearby vehicles.
근데 여기에 차량이 이렇게 많이 있으면 되게 진입 못할 가능성이 높아요.
AI technology is directly linked to the safety of autonomous vehicles.
80% of road accidents are caused by human inattention. We get distracted, we make mistakes. That's one thing the machines will never do. The machine is always on with a rigid, regular focus on what's going on. And then we take great care to design the software to check that its own behavior. It won't just be one machine that's in charge, it will be a couple of machines that are arbitrating what's going on, and they have a responsibility, sort of a tiered responsibility between them.
Self-driving cars seem to prove themselves as genuinely autonomous. And in healthcare, AI promises astonishing benefits from diagnosis to treatment. However, some crucial further questions remain.
If an accident happens or a mistake is made, I don't think it's been settled as to whether the responsibility for that mistake lies with the person using it, the person operating it, or the organisation that has programmed the computer. It becomes even more complicated when computers start learning from data and evidence that's been gathered. That's an issue that really does need to be settled and figured out, is who is responsible for these decisions.
We need to be really careful about how we regulate the use of these sorts of algorithms and software. Right now, we don't have the accountability mechanisms in place. So when mistakes are made, we also don't really know who to go to and who should be taking responsibility. So I think that's another thing that we just have to keep in mind when we're trying to use AI.
There are places where autonomous vehicles are already operating. This is a shuttle carrying passengers along the river. It's a 100% electric autonomous shuttle. without a steering wheel or pedals.
Et ça nous permet aussi et surtout de voir comment les gens, on va dire, apprivoisent le véhicule autonome. On voit qu'il y a une habitude, en fait, l'habitude se prend très vite et qu'il y a juste une petite appréhension, mais on va dire qu'on enlève très vite une fois qu'on a montré que le véhicule suit son itinéraire et respecte bien tout ce qui se passe autour de lui.
The shuttles are being trialled, with a view to integrating them into the public transport network.
Si jamais vous rendez le véhicule complètement autonome, le véhicule autonome, il n'est pas fatigué, il ne boit pas, il n'est pas malade, donc c'est un système de sécurité beaucoup plus important.
However, autonomous cars don't provide a bright future for everyone. What does a bus driver driving in the same city think about them? Bernard has been working as a bus driver for 31 years. He believes bus driving was his calling.
Oui, j'ai appris ça, oui, il n'y a pas longtemps. Oui. Je n'ai pas été le voir, je vous dis franchement.
Ah, d'accord. Ça vous fait quoi d'entendre le bus sans chauffeur?
Honnêtement, je suis pas très pour. Hein, parce que, bon, on a beau avoir toutes les sécurités qu'on veut, vous avez toujours un imprévu. L'être humain, quand même, perçoit et puis on anticipe aussi.
Bernard worries that autonomous vehicles won't be able to respond to unexpected situations as fast as a human. He says that there is another job that the machines will never be able to do.
L'automatisme enlève le côté humain du transport en commun. Parce que là, par exemple, je démarre de l'arrêt, si c'est un automate, il va démarrer. Là, en étant un être humain, vous avez une petite mamie qui arrive en courant, vous allez l'attendre, vous allez vous arrêter et la faire monter. Et je pense que, pour moi, personnellement, c'est pas le temps le plus important, c'est pouvoir transporter les gens. Une machine, lui, va vouloir gagner du temps.
In France, the bus service is under public management, and therefore bus driving is a relatively stable job. Yet the long-term future of this role is now uncertain. Autonomous vehicles are threatening the livelihood of the drivers. What's catching everyone's eye is this delivery robot. Fast delivery jobs, currently in demand, could be taken over by autonomous robots. Using artificial intelligence, this robot stops in front of a pedestrian crossing. It even reverses for a buggy.
The last mile industry, by definition, is the last 2 or 3 miles from a house to a store or a hub. And it's notoriously inefficient. It's the truck driving to 120 houses, stopping and starting. Quite simply, Starship Technologies have created the world's first commercially available autonomous delivery robot.
The robot can deliver within a 30-minute distance, and you can check its location using an app. It's already started with delivering groceries and has now expanded to delivering other food.
question of the impact of robots on jobs really touches the question of what is the point of this technology. The key to getting this right is thinking about things which machines are much better at doing than humans are, so that we can then start to think about how can we improve the lives of humankind by having these machines that can enable us to do lots of things better, faster, and what would a better world look like if humans are working with machines rather than competing against them.
However, machines that are better at certain things than humans could have a different impact on society.
It's going to create extreme technological unemployment. The problem is people who lost old jobs not always are capable of learning new jobs. If your job is to drive a car, you may not be able to become a computer programmer after you're fired.
가장 제가 최악의 시나리오는 뭐냐면 인공지능이 성장할수록 도와주는 인간 노동이 필요합니다. 여기에 무수하게 많은 일자리들이 대단히 불안전하고 대단히 궁핍한 일자리가 될 거라는 거죠. 이건 좀 두렵습니다. 예를 들면 자율주행 차가 진행되기 위해서는 도로 사진을 계속 찍어줘야 됩니다. 엄청난 도로 찍는 사진가 있는 자동차들이 지금 미국 땅을 돌아다니고 있습니다. 이 사람들이 구글 직원일까요? 정규직일까요?
In the future, we might see a wide distribution of autonomous navigation cars and delivery robots. What we need is a detailed map. Sarah's job is marketing houses on aerial photographs. She earns $200 to $300 a week. It's the minimum wage.
The unfortunate reality of my job is that a lot of the time I have no idea why people want me to do things. I've talked to some of the people like, why do you need boxes drawn around this? And I've been told it's none of my business. A lot of the time the answer is, it boils down to, we're trying to make it so that computers are better at recognizing stuff. And that's by and large the answer I get is, you're doing this so a computer can learn how to do this.
While the AI robot is figuring out the best method of delivery, humans are merely assisting in manual labor. In America, a new social phenomenon is happening. New low-paid jobs are being created, based on organizing data to be utilized by artificial intelligence. The benefits of AI will depend on who you are and where you fit into the world and to society. There is the potential for these new technologies to create new economic inequalities.
As with previous waves of automation, the people who benefit from the technology the most are those that can afford to buy the machines and to install the machines. So those with the capital to do so will get the biggest advantages and return from the new technology. In that sense, artificial intelligence is just like other forms of automation. And so the benefits are going to accrue to the people who own the robots and the people who build the systems.
We have to think of it as a political problem rather than an economic one. The government should intervene right across the technology life cycle. So from the point at which the technology is developed to the point it's deployed in workplaces, to thinking about how do you distribute and share that wealth after it has been deployed. The effects of automation are just one problem among hundreds that society faces. So climate change, an aging society, antimicrobial resistance, slowing down of drug discovery, and ironically, AI can actually help us to solve those problems. So it's not just an issue that should dominate our attention, it's actually kind of force for good, and it's how we wield it which is really what matters.
Artificial intelligence is evolving as we speak. The technology could displace humans in the workplace and create new issues such as data security, privacy, and accountability. The relationship between humans and machines will be transformed, and the systems that once depended on us may come to gain the upper hand. The big question is, will society change for the better? And will we be able to keep robots as beneficial to humankind?